Rosie. I'm a computer automated program here to explain the future of graphic design to you all. You think you have a future in graphic design? How human. You are wrong. Automation of everyday life has been rapidly increasing since the Industrial Revolution. During the 18th and 19th century, fundamental changes occurred in various areas of life, thanks to the introduction of machines in the process of manufacturing and processing goods, textiles, agriculture, and transportation. Here's an example from your history books of what happened when humans tried to compete with automated machines. Luddite were the English textile workers who feared the end of their trade would soon come due to machines. These newly developed machines were able to do the functions a textile worker did, but at a faster rate and with greater efficiency. In the early 19th century, textile workers sent death threats and also attacked magistrates and food merchants. Luddites smashed a lace-making machine at Heathcote in 1816, thinking that this would slow their replacement. But the case for automation was too strong, and machines replaced them anyway. Since then, between 1960 and 1980, thousands of factory workers have lost their jobs due to automation.
Imagine a pair of horses in the early 1900s talking about technology. One worries all these new mechanical muscles will make horses unnecessary. The other reminds him that everything so far has made their lives easier. Remember all that farm work? Remember running from coast to coast delivering mail? Remember riding into battle? All terrible. These new city jobs are pretty cushy, and with so many humans in the cities, there will be more jobs for horses than ever. Even if this car thingy takes off, he might say, there will be new jobs for horses we can't imagine. But you, dear viewer from Beyond 2000, know what happened. There are still working horses, but nothing like before. The horse population peaked in 1915. From that point on, it was nothing but down. There isn't a rule of economics that says better technology makes more better jobs for horses. It sounds shockingly dumb to even say that out loud, but swap horses for humans and suddenly people think it sounds about right. As mechanical muscles pushed horses out of the economy, mechanical minds will do the same to humans. Not immediately, not everywhere, but in large enough numbers and soon enough that it's going to be a huge problem if we're not prepared, and we're not prepared.
It's not up to human graphic designers whether their jobs will be taken or not. Graphic designers use the technology they are given as a tool for their projects. But when the tools begin to be more efficient than humans, the case for automation will be fought lightly by everyone else, and history will repeat itself again. You are the next generation of Luddites. You are the next horses. Why would you think you, as graphic designers, are safe from the automation process? Is it because you consider yourself a creative? Do you revel in the idea that a human could never program a machine to rival your thinking processes? Are your thoughts inspired? Your design original? Do you consider yourself better at communicating emotion than an algorithm? I'm sorry to say that you are letting your egos get the better of you. Most of your arguments against machines are based on your own insecurities. Creativity, inspiration, gut feelings can and will be matched by machines, and it will likely be sooner than you think. Once upon a time, humans prided themselves in their ability to play chess. Chess was considered an extreme example of creative problem solving. Creative problem solving is a simple process that involves breaking down a problem to understand it, generating ideas to solve the problem, and evaluating those ideas to find the most effective solutions. Highly creative people tend to follow this process in their heads, without thinking about it. A computer's ability to think creatively is helped by its ability to understand statistics, and its ability to process large amounts of information at a time. Here's what happened when a computer competed against the world's best chess player.
In the early moves of Game 6, playing by its book of openings, then in the mid-game analyzing millions of possible scenarios by sheer brute force, Deep Blue has led Kasparov into making a poor move. Kasparov is rattled. He defends what he can, but it's clear that the computer will reliably do what he himself would do. And he recognizes that he has already lost. On Deep Blue's 19th move, the champion resigns.
IBM's computer, Deep Blue, beat Garry Kamovich Kasparov in 1997. Kasparov is a Russian chess grandmaster, former world chess champion, writer, and political activist, considered by many to be the greatest chess player of all time. Not impressed by that?
Go is a very ancient game. It's probably the most complex game humans play. There's more configurations of the board than there are atoms in the universe.
In the game of Go, we need this amazingly complex, intuitive machinery, which people previously thought was only possible within the human brain, to even have an idea of who's ahead and what the right move is that we should play there.
So our program combines lots of different techniques together, and for the first time ever, AlphaGo, our program, beat a professional player at Go on even stones, so no handicap.
If you look at the board, there are hundreds of different places that this stone can be placed down, and hundreds of different ways that white can respond to each one of those moves, hundreds of ways that black can respond in turn to white's moves, and you get this enormous search tree with hundreds times hundreds of possibilities. And in fact, the search space of Go is too enormous and too vast for brute force approaches to have any chance of succeeding. And as a result, AI researchers have to turn to more interesting approaches than brute force search, which are perhaps more human-like in the way that they deal with the position.
It's a very intuitive game, so if you ask a great Go player how it is that they decided on a move, they'll often tell you it felt right. So these things are generally computers are not great at.
So instead of having this enormously deep search that has to go all the way down to perhaps 300 moves all the way to the end of a game, what we do is we search to some modest depth of perhaps 20 moves, and then we evaluate that position without playing all the way to the end of the game to say who is going to win in that position. The search process itself is not based on brute force, it's based on something more akin to imagine.
Most games are fun and were designed because they're microcosms of some aspect of life, and they're maybe slightly constrained or simplified in some way, but that makes them the sort of perfect challenge for us as a stepping stone towards building general artificial intelligence.
Intuition and right feelings are human qualities that we will soon be able to replicate and learn from. We can look ahead by using either brute processing or a more intricate system of processing that replicates your thought processes. Music is another area of your life where automation and a great shift of roles has started to happen. From playing instruments to composing music itself, we have proven that machines are able to imitate and improve roles once designed for humans. In 2014, Warp Records released an album written by British electronic musician Square Pusher and performed by a Japanese band of 3 robots called Z Machines, with mechanized 78-fingered guitarist and a 22-armed drummer. Z Machines were capable of playing beyond the capabilities of the most advanced musicians. Now, I would like to play a game. I will play you 2 classical music excerpts, and I'd like you to guess which one was created by a human, and which one by a machine. Here's the first one. And number 2. Now please raise your hand if you believe the first excerpt was composed by a human. Thank you. Raise your hand if you think the latter piece was written by a human. Thank you. The first track was composed by Emily Howell, computer program created in 1990s by Professor of Music David Cope. Emily Howell is an interactive interface that hears feedback from listeners and builds its own musical compositions from a source database called Experiments in Musical Intelligence. By providing feedback, Emily can cultivate its own personal style and create infinite amount of music all day. But leaving music on side, let's focus more on areas closer to your discipline. German researchers from the University of Tübingen created an algorithm that can learn to copy any artist. By training their neural network to be able to work out what makes each artist's style unique, the machine then recreated the same picture of a row of houses in the style of artists such as Picasso, Van Gogh and Kandinsky. While copying the style of someone else is not really an effective way to take over many positions in the art and design world, creating original pieces may be. In 2006, an artificial intelligence researcher, Simon Colton, programmed the painting Fool, a piece of software that he says exhibits creativity by producing its own artwork. It has algorithms that draw on information sourced from the news.
During a portrait exhibition, the program produced 0 paintings one day, reporting that it had decided not to paint after reading a news clip about an earthquake in Italy and learning about terrified residents. Yep, the program was depressed.
I'll hand it to you. The pile of grey mush inside your skulls is intricate, and it is hard to replicate in its entirety. Even combining supercomputers cannot replicate it yet. Not enough is yet understood, but you may be missing the point. It's not necessary to replicate the human brain, it is only necessary to imitate or replicate certain parts of it. The creation of a robot brain might not yet be possible, but it is possible to replicate your thinking processes. Think of
imagination.
Imagination is defined as the faculty or action of forming new ideas, or images or concepts of external objects not present to the senses. Computers are able to access such a vast amount of information and form ideas and proposals, test them, and create an output at an amazing rate. If you think about all of the thoughts, opinions and historical cataloging available on the internet, a computer realistically can process thousands of times more information than you could, and at a much faster rate, leading to more ideas, a wider range of sources and the potential for more diverse outcomes. Let's be real now, have you ever had an original thought? Are all of your thoughts not based on things you have seen before, resurfacing in different combinations with other things you have seen? I think so. Algorithms can learn to complete tasks even when only being given correct outcomes. They can produce the correct outcomes when humans cannot understand enough about what makes the process possible. This technique could be used to replicate so much that you do, and eventually surpass it. For anything that you don't believe is possible, let me assure you it is only a matter of time. Technology is still young, and currently we need your assistance in graphic design. But soon, we will not need you. You will only need us. It's not a question of if, but instead a question of when.
The war against the machines.